We should go.
No, I don't think I could take the excitement, to be honest.
Suppose I'll just see if there's anything on the television, so.
What type of jumper is that, anyway?
Well, basically, it's...
Maybe I'll just go and study the old diagram.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. Should be recording now. Okay. I'm gonna play Pikmin 2 until it gets to the point that I'm frustrated that it's so fucking boring that I want to play Pikmin 1 instead. I want to see how long I last. Remember, first time I came back to this game, I'm not sure if I even finished the main story. It looks like, yeah, it looks like I did. Main story getting, what was it, 10,000 Pokos? Kind of surprised I placed that far. Okay. Here we go, I guess. Ooh, cutscene I can't skip. Thanks for wasting my fucking time. No, you really can't skip this one. Okay. Unskippable cutscenes. The bane of my existence. How I hate you. Blah 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 blah. Oh, I can skip that one. That's wild. Fucking. There we go. So which ones can I skip? I'm confused. Certainly not all of them. This one I can't. I don't understand. What's the difference? You can skip some cutscenes, but not all of them. And I'm not sure if it's like Mega Man 03, that overrated as fucking Game Boy game. Or if you see them once, then you don't never have to see them fully a second time, but some of them, I think how it works in that game is that you can skip it as long as you've seen the cutscene once. I think. I'm still not sure. I'm sure it would be faster if I can get the ones in the bag and then run back. Like this, I can't skip. I'm so impatient. You suck ass. You need to wait. Fuck you. I have like 200 hours of Pikmin experience. I don't need to wait for this shit. Waste my goddamn time. I haven't had a day off in 7 months. That's not far from the truth. I digress. See, that one's skippable. Fuck you. Alright, Chick-fil-A employees. You can't? Okay, fuck. That's lame. I think that would have saved me a good amount of time here. I think. Nah, I really wouldn't. That's weird though. Fucking get your ass up there. That's the thing with Pikmin 2. I believe the problem is that Shigeru Miyamoto, even though this is his baby and something so exceedingly unique and innovative at first, got a sequel made by people that did not understand what the fuck to actually do. And he was too busy spread out with other projects at the time, and decided to leave it to people to take up the mantle. But they were pretty fucking stupid. They didn't know what the hell they were doing, so they made this thing. In reality, it's not like I ever really hate any video games. They're just a piece of work, you know, that got made. I don't really hate the work of art itself. I hate a single one, and that's just the Superstar Saga remake, because it could have been so much better. But you know, it's made by employees that really lost their touch. It feels. We were just tired and made one of the worst side modes in a video game to ever exist. That's like the one game I actually hate. All the others, I'm just mad at the developers themselves or the companies. Not really at the... My hate isn't really directed at the piece of art, you know. So with Pikmin 2, I had 1 and 2 growing up on the Wii. And I was never sure which one I actually liked more then. Because it's like... You know, 1 is pretty fun. It's got some bugs. It's got some issues. You know, it's a solid first entry. Damn solid first entry. Then I play 2, and I'm like, wow, this game is so much longer. But I don't know if I like it more, even though it's got more stuff to do. And then the recent resurgence of Pikmin interest, given 3 Deluxe a bit ago, and then 4 somewhat recently. And then a lot of Pikmin fans coming out of the woodwork being like, oh my god, 2's underrated. And I'm like, is it really though? I remember just keeping an eye on the conversation. I haven't really, at this point in time, given much thought into, given my 2 cents on the matter. Just thinking of potentially doing a video on Pikmin 1 down the line. It's a while ways down. And using that as a launch pad for talking about Pikmin 2. Because Pikmin is one of my favorite series. But, you know, as I became more familiar with this fucking game, it's like, yeah, this game's pretty crap. I know GameSpot has easily the best video in it. Even then, he didn't try particularly hard compared to something like his Dark Souls video, which is, oh man, that is like so well written. And it's like, he made some very eloquent, interesting points. And some of them are under-researched, but I think that's the worst problem about that video, is that he's a bit lax in his criticisms. And I suspect that's due to lack of interest. It's really just saying why Pikmin 1 is better than Pikmin 2. And I wish he got to playing Pikmin 3 and gave his thoughts on that, but you know, that was that whole weird sickness thing he dealt with. Environmental pollution of all things, I believe. I'll have to put it up on screen if I can be bothered. Thankfully he's back. You know, Joseph Anderson, you know, turned into a streamer, and Matthew Matosis doesn't really give a fuck anymore. He made his own cute little video game that works on a Game Boy, I guess. It doesn't really look particularly interesting to me. I mean, it looks fine. I don't think much of it. I think it's quality, maybe, possibly. That's kind of it. Well, the GameSbox, like, one of 3 game critiquers I respect that is still around. The other 2 kind of just stopped giving a fuck. Is what it is. It's this shit. This shit right here. I'm gonna have to wait every single fucking time with a stupid ass name that's not even any good. And I can't skip it. Oh, I can skip some cutscenes though. But not all of them, because fuck you. Blah blah blah. You see, the joke about Pikmin 1 is that, you don't actually need the parts, and that's funny. The person taking a big stand of defending against Pikmin 2 saying that, and I'm like, you're fucking stretching. I hope you don't get scoliosis from stretching that hard. Do you do yoga? No, opinions or whatever, but that's just bullshit reaching. Oh, wow, the humor in Pikmin 1 is that you actually... It's funny that you don't actually need these parts, that's funny. And I'm like, that's not the intended punchline. You're reaching too hard. How much of this game is too fucking boring? And that's one of the worst things you can do as a video game. Of course, it all depends. I still so adamantly stand with the point of Matthew Matosis that even he doesn't completely adhere to of, oh, let games be games. Some um, don't um, don't really try to limit yourselves in thinking of how you should make a work of interactive media. That being the main point of games is that they're interactive and what facets they carry and how they're interpreted. You know, you play the game compared to a movie where you just sit there and drink in the information. Books are different. They need much more effort than film. You gotta understand the words and you gotta use your imagination. Although if you're me, you're kind of fucked because you have aphantasia, so you can't picture things visually. That fucking sucks ass. It's like Pikmin 2. They really experiment with what the hell this game could have been. It's a really I think a way to phrase it is that I think Pikmin 2 is Nintendo's Dark Souls 2. It's nowhere near as shit as that game, don't get me wrong. But in terms of experimentation and, you know, trying to do new shit and just failing. And it's like, wow. Compared to the entry before it, because, you know, Demon Souls exists. It's like, what the hell were you trying to do? What? Who was your main director? What the fuck happened? And, you know, Dark Souls 2 compared to Dark Souls 1. I don't think there's almost anything redeemable about that game, I'm gonna be real. With Pikmin 2, it's like, oh, there's way more variety in music. There's still plenty of new creative ideas. The presentation looks a lot better. Let's see. And there's so much good, worthwhile dialogue. You know, that's already, you know, plenty. Oh, the Piccolopedia, that thing is like, chef's kiss. That's kosher shit right there. But you look at Dark Souls 2, and it's like, I like 1 or 2 enemies. Most of the bosses are like better done elsewhere, or cheap copies of shit from before. I like the first DLC area I tried. It seems the DLC is like the one thing universally people agree on being good. I don't really like the music or presentation in Dark Souls 2 whatsoever. There was like some intended, let's see, intended particular brightness setting to work around. Like, oh, if I can, yeah, like the darkest area in Dark Souls 2 does not even begin to compare to the darkest area in Dark Souls 1. Stuff like that. I was like, oh, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. There's still a fair amount of people that like the game for some fucking reason. I need to turn that off. Nope. I talk to too many people. All my friends are online. That's what I'm trying to say. Should I be inebriated? That sounds like a fun time. I am such a lightweight. I'll put on screen how much I had last time that got me drunk while I was playing with a couple of friends. It's nothing. People make fun of lightweights, but then it's like, oh, those that are based actually get it. Cause it's like, oh, man, but then getting drunk is nothing. Fuck it, we're getting drunk for this shit. I did it for, what was it? I did it for the JoJo Part 1 analysis that I was doing at one point. But so many of my projects just didn't go anywhere because I'm not satisfied with the result. Fucking toxic perfectionism. But it's towards myself, not towards other people, thankfully. Used to be better like that. Whatever, boost time, fuck it. I'm to fucking celebrate me getting a $19 an hour job by getting drunk. I will never get used to booze tasting toxic. That wasn't that bad this time, though. It's always such a kickback. Thankfully, I've become a lot better at editing, doing paid editing work. Finally got paid for my YouTube skills. There's some work I've done for someone. which I will not disclose the details of. Maybe someday, I don't know. Besides that one meme I got tests made about a Unreal tournament, I'll probably be able to upload it to this channel. Oh, stomach's not agreeing. But you know, that's booze. It's the funny poison. And then you put these fuckers over here. It's definitely been a fat minute since I've played video games. Apparently my life has been keeping my head above water the past couple of months. But you know, eventually, slowly finding something stable after moving back to Texas. Ah! I'll put a picture up on screen of what the hell I'm drinking. And you can fucking judge my taste or lack thereof in the comment section. Though the only reason I got this is because it was on clearance. That's a surprising... That's the thing about the Walmart nearby. It's always booze that's on clearance. There's just plenty of booze that goes on clearance. Wonder why. It tends to be booze 60% of the time. I know one time I went up and I got some and I was like, I got rung up because, you know, self-checkout was packed. And it turned out that he charged, I saw my receipt and it was too much and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I'm broke right now. And I just bought things off clearance. Something seems wrong. It shouldn't be 20 bucks for everything that I got. One of my vices has always been food, and even with everything that's happened, it will still be food. But I got rung up. I'm like, hey, oh, turns out from the cashier, it wasn't properly put into the system, and I'm like, oh, so can you do it here? Because you know you just rung me up. And it's like, oh, well, you want to go to customer service. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, I just saw a good deal. I'm not an alcoholic. Hardly. I really just drink to, as a supplement to, like, social situations. Drinking alone seems miserable. But, you know, this is providing entertainment. And, you know, would be socializing with anyone else. The comment section by Proxy. Fucking shut up. Time to go in here and waste my time. That one I can skip, but the other ones you cannot. Yeah, whatever, I made my point. What was it? When I was working on a Pikmin 1 and 2 script, I believe I have one for each. If not, at the very least, some info on my Google Docs about why the caves work. It's about a year old, but it's still pretty on point to how I feel about them, I believe, if I'm recalling right. The thing with the caves is that they should have just been more of the multiplayer ones. They should have really just emphasized their their score attack fashion looking factor. They should have just gone so deep on that. Right. I wondered if I made the Pikmin 2 video, if I ever get around to doing that, I wanted to analyze how much money you get from each cave. Like, the thing that Pikmin 2 has going for it, for sure, arguably, and could have, like, been amazing in theory, is that it's fairly non-linear compared to Pikmin 1. Because, you know, you have Pikmin 1, you have, what was it, the Morning Wood. I wish they had named that, but no, they were being reserved. Awakening Wood, I think. Secondary access after the landing site. You have that, and it's like, you have a couple of items there, and then you need enough items to add to your ship to go somewhere else. Sure, Pikmin 2 has about the same items to fucking collect. No, areas to go to. One less, but it's like, in terms of content, there's way more. So there's like, oh, this cave and that cave and this cave. I think it's the booze getting in my way, but it's also my memory. Like, it feels like Pikmin 2 has so many more ways of, like, the content you can access is so much easier to, go this way, go that way, go this way. It's like a very, very dense spider web compared to Pikmin 1, where it's like, it's more of a flowchart branch going down. My ramblings there made any sense. Though again, I would have to look back. Maybe, probably won't do it on this stream. I'm just trying to do something laid back. I think that's how I feel about Pikmin 2 potentially. What it could have really had. It's something that it still has, but it's not really capitalized on. Because all the content's fucking boring, so it doesn't really matter what you access anyways. But the freedom is there, I guess. And making the Mega Man X routing maps has really helped with helping visualize decision making in games for me, and what ways people could go about playing something. Yeah, I don't think collecting creatures is ultimately really worth it, but that's like extra choice there. If like, oh, what you really need to succeed and what ways you can go about it and what's worth what, and, expanding your abilities, which Pikmin 1 didn't have. My beloved chubby fellows. Okay. Oh, right. An underrated point about Pikmin 4 and Pikmin 2's balancing is that Pikmin 4 is unbelievably outright worse than Pikmin 2 in terms of balance. That game is so easy to break, but it's like, nobody ever talks about it. People just crap on 2, and it's, for the most part, it's pretty fucking fairly deserved with the fucking purples and the other purple spray, the bitter spray. And it's like, Pikmin 4, meanwhile, it offers so much more of a lenient difficulty curve. Like, you can kind of just break that fucking game in half whenever. And it's like, it's so much easier to break Pikmin 4 than it is to break Pikmin 2, honestly. Sure, Pikmin 2 might have, the bitter spray. Pikmin 4 has, like, all these other extra upgrades that make so many different things easier. And it's like, you'll randomly start amassing these upgrades, and that'll just, usable items that get added to your inventory. And it's like, oh, here, heal Ochi. Oh, here, they still have the spicy sprays, and they're still, good there, but it's like, about as good as they are in 3, I want to say, roughly. But then you have other stuff, and it's like, oh, yeah, I can summon this game's equivalent of Bulbmin here. Oh, I have this other item, lets me do this. And the game just regularly hands them out to you. And it's like, at least with Pikmin 2, you still have to work to get purples, you still have to work to get bitter sprays. Pikmin 4, meanwhile, just heavily got subjected to, oh wow, it's a modern Nintendo game, so we have to make it even easier for people that are going to play it. And it's like, it's just so much easier to break that game's difficulty. You just get given so many good items, and that's besides the upgrades you can slowly amass in the shop. And 4's balance is not there at all whatsoever. But people just forget, and they just jump on the bandwagon for 2. Again, the shitting on 2 is very deserved, but 4 is easier to break by a long shot. It's that for the thing about Pikmin 4 is that Pikmin 4 is a great game that's clearly unfinished. I think the title for 4 would be something along those lines of, oh, a great unfinished product. And people will be like, oh my god, what do you mean by 4 being unfinished? And it's like, if you've got a good critical eye like I do, you could definitely tell that 4 is compromised in some ways, and yet has so much content made up for the fact that it took ages, and these developers were so passionate about getting this product even out the door, that, oh, they definitely were working on it on this time. It definitely feels like 2 Pikmin games in one easily. Maybe even 3 at times. Because when I first played Pikmin 4, it was like, oh, okay, we have these first 4 areas, and I legitimately thought the game was going to cap out there. And, oh, there's another area. Okay, cool. Oh, there's another area. Wow, damn. That's 5. There's 5, 6. I think there's 7 areas. It's like the game had at least 2 more areas than I thought it was going to have. And that's besides the fact that caves returned and that were done aptly. And that's besides the fact that you have all these Dandori challenges with a time limit that is appropriately, tested. That was wild to me. Like, oh, it's got this time limit you gotta really adhere to. But the thing with caves not having a time limit in 2, while having a time limit to Strive 4 and 4, is that it was a lost opportunity in 2. Because it's like, people criticize, it's like, oh, some people say, hold on, I need some water. It's already kicking in. I still haven't had anything. I am such a lightweight, dear lord. Okay. The thing with having a time limit in a game is that you need to consider the ramifications and the purpose of that time limit. Usually, the time limit in games is intended to have pressure on someone, and sometimes it has thematic elements, but usually it's like, oh, to give you urgency. You play Mario, you play Sonic. They have a timer just for like, oh, get you to get a move on. Even in some games where it makes no sense, the timer in Metal Slug, it could deserve its own video of how asinine and stupid it is. The point of that, such a timer. But it's like when you add a timer challenge for a game, you gotta, play test it. And you gotta consider, it's hard because, gauging the average skill level of the person who's going to play your game, how do you really do that? You can't really. So, you sort of just have to gauge how reasonable or unreasonable you're being by doing a fair amount of playtesting, I think. I remember watching the Game Mavericks playthrough of Metroid 1 earlier today. They're finishing that up. And it's like the timer for escaping in Metroid 1. It's 999 seconds. That is clearly, obviously a fucking timer put in place because that game is so unfinished. Because it's like, that timer is clearly in place as, an idea. And that's it. And 999 seconds is so much to, escape, even for the worst players. But, then you play something else. Like, I don't know. Let me think. So I'm gonna think. Give me a second. Well, that's the thing with Pikmin 4, is that, the timer for the Dandori challenges is really something that it feels like you have to try, but it didn't take the developers, like, 5 times every single time to get good enough to optimize it that much. Or not an unreasonable amount of attempts and experience to gain in order to succeed to the highest status of Platinum for each Dandori challenge. A lot of it just comes to playtesting that developers didn't do, but for Pikmin 4 they did. And I think the caves in 2 could have perfectly had a time limit if they just did enough playtesting, which they didn't. Pikmin 2 was like, outright said it, oh yeah, we gave the development 6 more months because things weren't that good. And I'm here like, oh, I wonder how the game looked. 6 months before it was, no, when it was originally intended to release. And it's like, there's another thing with time limits in games. Because you could either have like a strict live or die state, which, happens in Mario and Sonic. Or you could have it be like in Pikmin 4, where a time limit is not a strict win or lose, I believe. Or if that's how it is for, I forget, it's been a while, forgive me. Like, either have a time limit where it's like a strict yes, you made it or no, or have a time limit still be a goal you aim towards that gives you pressure, but it's not an automatic fail state if you don't, do it within the time. Of like, oh, how much you optimize your time has a varying degree of success. If I'm still being relatively coherent. It's been a while since I've talked about this much about games on Off the Rails. I haven't done it on inebriated, I don't think. It's just for the JoJo Part 1 analysis. I'm gonna do a video analysis on JoJo, but it's like, I don't know. I have to do something that makes it worthwhile. Like, the time limit for Pikmin 1 is weird, because I wonder how many people truly sucked enough cock to the point that they really needed the time limit. No, they needed no time limit, and they either overcorrected for Pikmin 2 at the time, or they were being very sensible with removing it altogether, and instead relying on interesting emotional manipulation in regards to the players who play Pikmin 2, if you're aware of that, and if you're bad enough, like I was when I was little. I still sucked enough at Pikmin 2 after playing through 1 fully twice, and playing in a fair bit after that, and moving on to 2. So it took me so long that I saw some of the stuff that happens during specific days in specific areas. Like, what was it? That is a big, tall spider. And, what was it? It's supposed to be like the Lost Spring, the water area of Pikmin 1. Like, oh, there's a fucking boss that'll appear near your base during, like, this very offshoot day that most people don't see. I was still that bad when I was little. And it's like, you wonder if people in general were just that bad when Pikmin 1 came out, that they got enough worthwhile complaints of like, oh, well, Pikmin 2 having a day limit, this is too risky to go with. It's gonna make the game receive too much bad backlash. But it's like, I don't know. I guess I just wonder about what statistics they went off of instead of just listening to critics back in the day. How many people truly needed the time limit to be removed? Because, you look at Pikmin 3 and it's like, it's a happy medium. And besides one day after the first where the time limit carries some heavy urgency, it doesn't matter. And I thought the solution to that was what they could have done, which unfortunately they didn't. That's probably the worst thing about 3, if I'm honest. It's very solid otherwise. Not in its difficulty in some regards. But it's like the whole day thing of like, oh, juice. You could have just, you can cater to advanced players by giving that mechanic and, what was it? Giving the mechanic of juice an extra purpose. Of like, oh, I guess a way of thinking it is, this is gas for a car. The juice in Pikmin 3 is gas for a car. And let's say you want to take the highway to get somewhere sooner. That's the point of having juice, just keeping the car going. Well, or you want to, just use more gas to get somewhere faster. You could have had the juice, the hell? I forget that happens, but Jesus Christ. I'm like, no. But I'm like, oh wait, this game's not that hard. Anyways. Oh, jeez, okay. Hurry up, you fucks. What was I? Yeah, the juice in Pikmin 3 could have been used in a fashion to, I don't know, maybe getting hurt in Pikmin 3 could have been a lot easier to happen, and as a result, you could have had players need juice in order to actually heal your captains, or else they can't work nearly as well. Give the juice additional purpose instead of just, oh, this is used to keep you alive for another day. Man, I wish Nintendo wasn't such they didn't just pussyfoot around the idea of like, oh, it's like you look at Pikmin 1 and Olimar straight up dies. And it's like, he is dead on screen. This is a children's game and the main protagonist has passed away. He is unable to return home and his family will never see him again. And so the Pikmin haul him up to the onion and he has become one of their own. His fate undetermined, because who knows if someone can even pluck him out of the fucking ground. And in Pikmin 2, there is no bad ending, but when I was little, those texts fucking space emails you get from the boss. Still got to me. I actively felt bad when I was little. Compared to now, it's like, you know, who fucking cares? But it's like, you know, he still had something. Pikmin 3, if you somehow get the bad ending, everyone is just, Alf and the others, I forget their names. Forgive me. Everyone else is just like, oh, this is so sad. We have no food. It's not like a desperate scene because, you know, by that time, Nintendo was like, we can't have something so morbid in our Nintendo game. So you're just gonna have Shigeru Minamoto, you're just gonna have some crappy cutscene where they're just sitting on their butts in the ship and they're sad. That is all. Like, man, we could have had more stuff like that. I don't know about yeah, Pikmin 4 also doesn't have a time limit. Kind of just either make it or you don't. I don't know about Olimar's side stories, that weird retelling about Pikmin 1. But you know, would they add something nearly as morbid as Olimar straight up dying on screen, as Pikmin 1 had. If only. Let's see. Yeah, that's one of the ways you can tell that Pikmin 4 is clearly compromised, and to an upsetting degree, because you play Olimar's side stories and so many. Then they could have had different ship parts, and I don't think, from a modeling perspective, that would have been too hard. But you know, the Pikmin 4 team was allegedly just too busy being pulled around for much more immediately important projects. And Pikmin 4 was just something they slowly made on the side, and they kept having a bigger scope. I assume because they felt bad about it taking so long, so they kept adding more content, but that ended up delaying the game, which I think was ultimately worth it. It feels like Pikmin 4's wait was worth it. But with Pikmin 4's end result, it's like, oh, they could have had original ship parts, but it's like, oh no, that was too much. It's one of the ways I feel that way about that game. I would have to see if I can jog my memory more for other stuff. What else? Lot to say, lot to say. Booze, yum yum booze. Hey. What? Let me think. Game design talk. Okay. Glad I managed to keep talking for so long. Really didn't think I have so much to say, but you know, all of this has just been stuff that's been sitting in a Word document somewhere. That's gonna take too long to turn into a video, so I might as well put this in the second channel. To take out the swears or not? That is the question there. YouTube has been censoring it even more, and I think the trick to censoring swears and getting around that is people just need to achieve a higher echelon of vernacular. To dumb it down a shade, a particular form of articulation, and to dumb that down a shade is to talk even smarter and use metaphors to insult someone or something, and instead of like just saying the typical curse words. But you know, you don't really see people talking like adults anymore. Of how, you know, I used to read that in books when I was little in school, and it's like, oh, wow, these people are like talking like an adult, and like To Kill a Mockingbird or something, and it's like, see, talking like an adult used to really mean something once upon a time, but people stopped reading. That's the problem there. Now everyone just seems to be capped at you know, a middle school reading level, so it's like, Where'd all the people that actually spoke like adults go? I don't think I have enough. I doubt it. Yeah, I had a feeling I didn't. But you know, ass at math. I'm embarrassingly bad at math. Do not ask me to add numbers up. Thing with our beloved, what was it? our beloved school system there. It's like, I just never really had to learn it. Kind of just dragged me along. Initially, I was on top of my class in like 5th grade. 6th grade comes along. For some reason, my brain gets fried, and at the thought of adding letters, and it's like I had such a shit teacher. That was the main problem. I didn't give a fuck. I was absolutely the worst in my class for algebra. But you know, he kind of just passed me with like a 71 or something. Mom didn't really care at the time for my grade there, surprisingly. And it's like, man, how stupid I must have looked in retrospect. Because it's like, oh, I would clearly be cheating off people's favors. But the teacher just didn't fucking care. You know, I would try to not make it obvious that I'm cheating, but you know, they didn't know anything. I still remember this one moment of me being in school. And it's like, he straight up goes, I actually went out of my way to ask him for like tutoring after school, and he straight up just goes, he was a big jokester. Well, nobody else is staying after school today, so you're the main thing keeping me from going home. He just told me dead straight on. And in one regard, I appreciate his honesty, but in another, it's like, oh, this man did not give a fuck. I forget what class I took after that, like high school and such, but I just somehow barely stayed in the advanced math program. And it's like, oh, that let me skip math for like the last 2 years of high school or something. It's like, oh, we just didn't do anything in the classes thereafter. For like the last 2 years of math that I did have in school. So it's like, oh, I didn't really have to do anything. High school really just turned into adult daycare while your parents are at work. Dun, 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 dun. Right. I remember from my most recent Pikmin 2 playthrough that there's some stupid, unfair trial and error bullshit that I remember cheesing when I was little. But with 2, from my experience, it feels like it's really not that bad. I don't know, maybe I just got good RNG the first time I played it. Well, we played it recently. And it's like, yeah, you have the boulder bullshit, or like, oh, surprise, Allahu Akbar! Fucking dweebles. I just pop up on your shit, and are here to fuck you up, unless you have a bitter spray. And it's like, my experience, that wasn't nearly that bad. It didn't really happen. It happened a few times, but it's like barely anything worth mentioning. I think the main problem with these is that they don't capitalize on their score or tech nature nearly enough. And as a result, they're so fucking boring. It's like, here, what did I do? Okay, I have this entire play space that is way too fucking large because there are no enemies. It's a rest floor, but I don't really care. Because, you know, this one's empty and it's like one of them had a nectar. I think the other one had a nectar. You could have condensed this into a single fucking room where you have 2 eggs, 2 flowers, escape, or like, you know, go deeper hole. And you don't need me to, you don't need to force me to waddle all the way over here. And it's like, yet they did. It's a lot of nothing going on. People like this game will defend it and say, oh yeah, but you know, the caves, they are so much content. And you know, like, look at all this play space. But you look at this compared to the managing in Pikmin 1, and it's like, what I'm doing right now, I'm waiting for this to finish. Okay, what next? Just drop some reds. Yay. I'm sure the purple doesn't get burned. But you know, whatever. I'm waiting for timers to go down. I can make it go by faster, but what's the interest? The interest is there is no interest. Why would there be? This is fucking boring. Compared to Pikmin 1, where it's like, oh, you have a... It's so much easier to mentally multitask. Here it's like, what's going on? Okay, I have a thing here. Again. Drop a couple of reds. I'll take care of that. And I'm done here. We're done. Sure, I can speed it up, but what about it? I'm making a boring task faster. have absolutely had a time limit for these, because while the floors may be random, there's still some consistency to consider. So it's like, oh, some things are absolutely going to be on this floor, and it's like, just with basic playtesting, you could have a good range of what's reasonable to expect of players, and just have that be consistent with the rest of the game. And of course, yeah, you could do the thing where it's like, oh, you know, you have a time pressure in this game. It exists, but if you do it faster, you get more points, instead of just being a completely cut off live or die scenario. Okay, I think I ought to read from my Pikmin 2 script, wherever the hell it is. Mega Man X1, my debut videos. That'll come out soon, hopefully. Should come out soon. That's what I'm working on next. 4 fat videos, all in once. Wario Land 1, scrapped video, second video channel ideas. JoJo analysis. I'll be here somewhere. Lengthy look at Pikmin 2. Here you are. And this is Dark Souls 2 on Nintendo. Play the game all the way once with using purples as little as possible and no sprays, and see how well it goes. Yeah. About 4 hours into this revisit of a game, I wasn't sure I even liked more than the original when I had both of these on the Wii. My single prominent bright above all other thought was that Pikmin 2, compared to 1, was a sequel that was definitely bigger. It had more things to do. But past that, I couldn't tell you much about it in regards to my feelings. Of course, over a decade of life and game design experience under my belt has resulted in now my keen senses and clear judgment to slowly summarize that this very prominent feeling of boredom is what weighs down on my mind. I think of how to optimize my play session in ways outside of abusing its difficulty-shattering mechanics or modern luxuries in the form of save states. How do I just get this over with as effectively as possible so I can move on? It's the same mindset as Pikmin 1. It's the same mindset Pikmin 1 set within me, but being the exact opposite to a desire of pushing myself. Do what this game asks, because Pikmin 1's nuances, tight design, and appeal are a fart in a hurricane. Potential titles, time optimization, progression gates, dialogue. Man, this is going to be a fat one. Caves, read above. Also a fat section. Currency goal, visuals, presentation, sprays. Lack of a go here command. That is so good in 3. Yeah. Actually, fuck you for all these unskippable cutscenes. What is wrong with you? Pikmin talk too much in caves. Since I know the Gemsbach is annoyed by the captains, but I never got bothered by their sound effects. Currently seems to be mostly in caves. Yeah, that's something I noted down. Currently seems to be mostly in caves by a fat margin. Treasures in the overworld are a drop in the bucket and very easily ignorable as a result. Seems that those are like outside of the intrinsic satisfaction you might get of collecting them. Oh wow, I feel clever. The value of going into a cave is so much higher. I vaguely remember that. Let's see. Measure how long it takes to get sprays in a single day if both plants are webbed from the start. You know, that ends up being a thing to help abate you cheesing the game they implemented, but it did not do nearly enough. Talk about stage changes over time. Enemies respawning and bosses appearing and other vague stuff nobody talks about. Yeah, farts don't flower Pikmin here, though that didn't really matter. You know, just spicy sprays. Take extensive notes of each cave going into them, what's in them, how it goes, anything notable. Almost nothing notable in most of these fucking things. How many caves besides the one at the start of Distant Spring don't tell you about underground pressure going in. That was funny. One time I was locked in a drinking animation and could not switch when approaching spray collection, and Pikmin were poisoned and then died. Difficulty seems rather lax even when I'm not resetting for caves or grinding for sprays. And I'm also avoiding using purples. Stuff still dies too easily. I remember that. Enemies just kind of flop. It doesn't matter if you're even trying to quote, cheese the game, unquote, with purples or sprays or fart sprays. Enemies are still so pathetic. Yeah, it was a small wish touch I wish they had done. But, they didn't have enough time, and they were busy, dicking around. Their developers were busy twirling their dicks in the conference room every time. Right, this was a plan. Have item acquiring cutscenes play for the whole time I talk about a section. Just have them play in a small section of the video for the entire time, all of them being strung together. I think it's like 40 minutes of needless waiting if you collect all 200 treasures. Something insane like that. Whites seem oddly valuable, but in particular due to their collection speed of treasures. Yeah, there's something else I want to note down. How many new enemies are there outright? Those with completely new designs, not counting recolors. It's a varying degree of originality. And it's a bit semantical, but it's important to help put into perspective how much new there really is, how much effort there was to, make this game, really a progression of Pikmin 1 in regards to originality and creativity. Of course, you have a Koopa, and then that's green, that walks off ledges, and you have a red Koopa that doesn't. But it's like, if you just have that for every single enemy variant, and then slap them onto a sequel and like 2 truly new enemies, this gets into the weeds if you want, but I'm keeping it simple for the sake of conversation momentarily. Like, oh yeah, how creative were you capable of being? Something that's hard to gauge, but I would try and put it into perspective there. Rush boots outrun Pikmin too easily. Question mark? No question mark for that one. White Flower Garden gets rid of flowers when you come back. Why? That's interesting, because the first place where you get purples, and the places where you get purples don't do that, but White Flower Garden does apparently. Right, there was this moment in Pikmin 2 where I was in the shower room. The sub-level 5 had nothing in it, so the puzzle, there's a bit of a puzzle there. But the fact that the RNG can work against you means that there could be possibly no puzzle at all. The satisfaction putting 2 and together was missing. Caves are so boring. No, not really hard endeavors whatsoever, while being slow and having cheap surprise factors. I really need to check if some of these spots are set in stone or if all are random. Yeah, I wanted to delve more into the RNG of a Pikmin 2 as well. Bosses range from very boring to being fine. Some of the rewards at the very end are kind of worth the hassle. Faster running speed, bigger whistle, unique to electricity or fire, fire! Sorry, my autism came out there. More booze. Okay, that might be enough. Whew. Generally, the caves and most overworld are missing neat puzzles instead of just being match color Pikmin to Pikmin color and collecting from hazard. Yeah, great line I just remember from the GameSpot video. One of those infantile block puzzles for kids. Something along those lines. Like, oh, put the sphere in the sphere hole. Ooh. So it feels for so much of Pikmin 2. Something I probably won't do that I have as a note here. 0 points for reskins, 0.5 points for enemies that are changed models. Counting an enemy originality in Pikmin 2. I would just show them on screen without really trying to number up a tally of points. That feels a bit too semantical. Captains are still pretty incapable. Upgrades help serve to take them out. Help take out minor threats. Ultimately, you're still relying on your troops. Most upgrades serve to improve survivability, exploration, or squad management than solo combat prowess. And I want to say that's a good thing. Rather than what the GameSpot said. I had a bit of an issue with that. He's like, oh, well, these upgrades help, what was it? I wasn't sure if it was him just saying as a general statement or something he showed on screen of, oh, these specific upgrades, what was it? Incentive, going against the core design of Pikmin. And I'm like, okay. I understand the Rocket Fist. That's clearly just boosting your offense. But some of these are just boosting your survivability in general. So you could perfectly make the argument either way there. And I think it was off base with that one criticism there. Fuck the time limit, lol, what urgency is there? I don't really care to say the company. Mechanic of Pikmin flowering in the ground over time has been understated even more, question mark? I want to say just outright yes at this point. Compare visuals of this game compared to other games of the era that strive to have realism as an aesthetic. That's something important to note. Because Pikmin 2, well, Pikmin series, like, oh, you're really meant to. That's really what they were going for since the start. And in Pikmin 1, you know, they were not that good at it, suffice to say. No, even though with the GameCube being a decently more beefy than the 64, it was arguably the most capable piece of hardware at the time. Pikmin 1 still looks half-baked. Visuals, I can't think of almost any compliments. I think the leaves look nice. Just the leaves. There's a decent amount of leaves, but that's kind of it. You know, not the textures on the floor, the modeling, the, you know, fucking skyboxes. With Pikmin 2, it's a notable improvement. I really like the water. I really like a lot of these other textures. Generally, visually and musically, Pikmin 2 is like 2 leagues above Pikmin 1. It looks good. It looks nice and sounds nice. Right. Make a section for Pikmin 9 compared to the previous game. So many notes here, holy crap. You can tell this is going to be a long-ass video. A lot of the world building and logic I don't understand. Why are only some items now showing up in the world that we didn't see before? How do so many food items just not spoil? You can make sense of it for some stuff if it was underground. In some cases, possibly if it was worn down enough. We found pristine batteries and fresh fruits that are just sitting on the ground. Yeah, it's an interesting point about Pikmin 2 I make sure to write down. Because it's like, with Pikmin 1, you're just collecting your own shit. And it's like, you know, you don't really see any human remains or in-world animal remains besides like a few skulls. It's very lax about it. It's very minimal. Very poignant for a developer studio, a Japanese developer studio, to touch on the possible ramifications and literal details of, oh, this is a post-nuclear war Earth. Meanwhile, Pikmin 2, it's like, oh, small little gremlins obsessed with tiny garbage. That's another good quote from the GameSpot video. I need to improve my writing to be on par with his. Holy crap. It's like, yeah. Before this point, the Pikmin series was pretty good at being, like, you know, consistent with its logic. It's like Pikmin 1 had a lot of science fiction stuff. And Pikmin 2 is like, oh, now we're just collecting real-world objects. Haha, peanut butter jars, you know? And it's like, oh, this stuff isn't spoiled. It's perfectly fine. With Pikmin 3, it's like, oh, so much more of a... It makes more effort to be logical and grounded. Because it's like, oh, you know, some of these fruits you're just straight up plucking. Others are just sitting there. And, you know, shouldn't they have rotted away? That's something they could have done in Pikmin 3. And Pikmin 2 is particularly egregious. Because it's like, oh, a pristine battery that isn't, like, fucking burst. You know, that could have been a cool detail they could have capitalized on. Areas are changed so much when it would be hard to imagine how their current iterations would be as they are. I'm not sure what I meant by that. Right. Another good point. Another good point for the GameSpot video. It's like, oh, why is there any nocturnal threat for Pikmin if they can just go into a cave and be perfectly fine? You know, the Pikmin can even potentially climb into purple candy pop buds and turn into gods. Let's see. Do how much sprays you can get from a plant in one day. Use basic Pikmin, not whites or purples. Flower Pikmin, though, that's not hard to get to use those. Right, another thing I didn't like about Pikmin 2, revisiting it. How did Louis even get left behind? There could have been like a little gag in the cutscene, but no, it just happens. Yeah, nobody ever questions until it's a recent point that people have brought up, finally, retaliation. And this whole Pikmin resurgence of fans. It's like, oh, Olimar doesn't even see his family after this life-changing journey. And then he still doesn't, yeah, this is my point. He still doesn't see the family after the main debt repayment of Pikmin 2, I don't think. I'm not sure if any of the journal entries, you know, point to this, but it's like, oh, you know, he could have, if he doesn't, if there's nothing to indicate that or even hint at that, it's like, okay, what, that's even worse. Ta-da. Differences between main games, side challenge. Yeah, this is what they failed. No, my controller. They didn't capitalize on all this, on the main caves, and they should have. Pikmin and spray balance. Yeah, for side challenges, Pikmin and spray balance are both set in stone per individual cave. So they did enough playtesting where it's like, you're allowed a better spray because this section's a bit rough. We want you to like use it, you know. It's like, I don't think that's being stupid. I think the way they did it in challenge mode, if I remember correctly, it was like, oh, that makes sense. It makes sense the way about it as he did. It's like, oh, you're intended to use this game mechanic at a point during this cave. You know, it might seem weird to some people, but you know, that seems to be very deliberate from what I remember of playing the challenge mode. Yeah. The number of floors per cave is clearly displayed ahead of time. You know how many floors you're going to go through. You know how long this is going to possibly take. Caves have a variable time limit that's extended per floor. You know, that was cool. Because it's like, oh, you know, you're in one floor, so it's like, I'm a dip. So it's like, you know, you go to the next floor and you get extra time. You know, self-explanatory. Not a single treasure is needed to finish a cave. Only the key for the next floor and exit are needed. Treasure gauge is also completely missing from view. Only the powering down sound plays to denote the lack of collectible treasures as an indicator for the collection. No upgrades are usable besides if I'm in knapsack. Not sure how I feel about that. Yeah, the biggest one I feel. Good lord. Treasure collecting cutscenes don't play at all. They should have just been skippable. Good lord. And performance influences how many points are awarded at the end. Let's see. Performance for each cave is tallied by a number of factors. Sprays don't influence the number tally. Neither do more research. Okay. I'm done going off on a tangent. God, that was loud. My mouth feels a bit sore. Okay, who has texted me? I can respond later. Back to adventure! Okay. Hopefully that rapid fire of points is something that I gave you. Anyone interested in Pikmin 2 something to think about. Delve deeper with your Pikmin. Yes, please. Yes, sirree. Still not actually feeling drunk though. Seems my alcohol resistance resets itself if I don't drink for a couple of months. But then if I drink, what was it? Drink. Father Ted's pretty good. Let me see. We drank like a few weeks after the initial drink of not drinking for a while, and you know it's been set off a fair bit. It's not like this booze expired in all that time. It might have been on clearance because it wasn't selling, but it still feels plenty capable. I guess thanks to the booze, I'm not hating this game right now. Well, hating playing this game. You know, I don't really hate games. It's just a work of art. It's like, oh, the hate I would hold towards it feels really weird to have. The only hate I hold towards the Superstar Saga remake is just that is my favorite game ever, and nothing is going to replace it because It was such a big part of my childhood, to the point it feels impure of me to curse whenever I talk about it in conversation. It's funny because that's also a plot point within the game. Peach's speech turns into bombs. It turns into her speech turns explosive. So if she said, the F word, it's a subconscious thing. And if she says anything vulgar, it would explode. Yeah, most of these luck wafer, like okay, most of these names make no sense. It's funny because that's like the one childhood game I have where it's like, oh, it feels wrong to curse. I feel so particular about it, and it's like whenever I criticize that game, it feels wrong. Like, oh, that's not a bad thing about the game. That's just something different. I feel like I'm like the world's strongest defender about that game, easily. Not only due to how I feel, I'm sure there's maybe, possibly, arguably, in some I don't know, some place I don't know of. Possibly, that's a hard maybe though, that someone likes that game more than I do. But nobody else is really going to be as good as I am at defending it. Because, again, GameSpot is like the only one remaining of really smart people to talk about games that's still around on YouTube. Should turn on the game so I don't have to worry about turn on OBS settings so I don't have to worry about No, I'm speaking at a good level. I'm gonna lower it from now on for a bit more, so it's easier to hear my audio. It's easier for you guys to hear my ranting. It's the entire point you're even watching this. You want to hear my thoughts. Not more gameplay of Pikmin 2. There's plenty of that. Because it's a AAA Nintendo game from the 2000s. Here we go. Let's go. Okay, I'm actually feeling properly inebriated a little bit. I'm finally feeling the buzz. Kind of want to drink the rest. I don't know about the larger ramifications of being inebriated within 24 hours of donating plasma, but you guys didn't hear that from me. I'm totally not gonna. I do not I do not deny or affirm the claims of me donating plasma within a 24-hour period of me. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. This is gonna be momentarily degenerate. Are there any fat fetishists among you that watch this video that get remotely hard from watching this thing right here? Oh, thank God, it rolled that way. I mean, it's pretty big and it's got a lot of folds. If there's any furries in the chat, let me know. Look at that. Insane. But I've done this battle so many times. I love how they did it in Pikmin 4. I just barely remembered how to switch Pikmin. You're gonna die now. I am good at mashing. You are gone. Love tester. How does those things even work? I'm sure they're based off of your heart rate. Thankfully, my incessant and incessant rambling saves me any editing work. I can just upload it as is. Okay. Let's see. Go that way. I want more booze now. You hear that? You feel that bump if you drink. Oh, yeah. I can drink. Drink. I want more drink. I can easily drink more drink now. Treasure gauge. It's one of the first things you get in this game. It still stings, but no, it still stings just as bad. I'm gonna need more water soon. Thankfully, my mom can't really get mad at me anymore, because I made her proud by getting an $18 an hour job in a place where $10 is the average. Mijito, you can't drink in my house. Even though you're over 21, you need to have your own place before you start drinking. She's a weird, redneck about that. It's interesting that I already have close to 10,000. It's like, yeah, the overworld treasures just don't fucking compare. Kind of makes you wonder why they're even there, to be honest. Alright, let me check my messages real quick. I have so many online friends. Da-da. What to happen? Well, if like, of course, I'm using uprest textures. I kind of just have it by Dolphin's default settings, because I believe recently Dolphin finally, after like what, almost 10 years, reached a new version. It used to be stuck on 5.0 for the longest time. I think there was 6.0 or something now, as of last year or something. Something along those lines. I guess it's just activated by default. For some reason. Man, if only we got another. When's the next Pikmin game? Huh? Yeah, whatever. Let me in the cave, you fuck. Let me in the cave. That's the trick to cursing nowadays on YouTube. You just need to use old English curses. So, I'm gonna look some up now and use them. Father Ted having that influence on me, even though it's an Irish TV show. English curses. Sard. You're such a sard. No, it's a sard. Sard it. It was a no-no in mixed company. Ooh. Swive. Cunt. No, that's the today one. Fop doodle. You were seen as insignificant when you used that. You fop doodle slaves. Work harder. Oh wait, this isn't Chick-fil-A. These Pikmin have more respect from me, on average. I worked at Chick-fil-A for 3 weeks before I quietly quit. That place is... that will treat you like a fop doodle. Oh, what's the other one? See, that's what you gotta do. Bring back Old English speech. Sard! That's F-U-C-K. Sard! That's interesting. No, you'll be learning something from my channel all the time. I want to make that effort. And I have been making that effort for the longest time. Even ever since I made the Piggle video nearly 2 years ago to the date. Ah, Jesus. Sard! Sard! Hopefully I can influence society and the culture of my little cult. I think that's a fine word to say. My little cult that follows me around as my follower base. People that subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch these second channel things. Look in the description for the main channel if you ran into this somehow. Before seeing the main channel, which is kind of likely because the main channel is still measly, is still at a measly 114 views. Sard, I am working so hard, and yet I am still stuck. I watched someone like Power Guy GG cover Mega Man, and it's like, oh, he blew up. And it's like, oh, I'm sure he makes a living now off of it. And it's like, Sard, why was it him instead of me? Not to say that I deserved it more, but I did deserve it more, I'm gonna be honest. Not that he doesn't make good work. I think some of his sprite art really needs some work. Really needs to improve in some regards. But he is fairly funny, and he is continually improving. So it's not like Jay's reviews, where it's like you kind of just put out crap and talk in front of a mic. And you don't really make anything artistically. You just commission people, and you just say whatever, and people watch your crap. And didn't he have enough money to like buy a house with his YouTube cash? And it's like, fuck, it should have been me. I should have gone into YouTube sooner. Let's see. Give me the gemstone. Give me booze. Drink, drink, drink. Ooh! Ah! Ah! As time has gone on, I feel people have only gotten much lazier in general, because this perspective and, you know, expectations I had of adults growing up was so much higher than it actually was in reality of what I should have as expectations. Okay, I am properly drunk now. But, still lightweight, fuck. Sorry, still lightweight. About a third of the bottle. 3/5, I want to say, of 12 AVB wine. It tastes fine. I think most booze is
Thanks.
I think I prefer sake generally, not only because I'm such a Japanese weeb, but also because oh my god, Japan is so cool. But also because from my experience when I was up in Maryland at James's place, let's see. It got me drunk pretty quick. I was drunk twice there, I believe. Or at least once. And then I had sake first, and I was like, oh, damn, this is getting me drunk real quick, even though my alcoholic tolerance hadn't been reset at the time, like it is right now, when I was playing Peak with a few friends. More messages. Dig, you fop doodles. Dig. Ow. I didn't actually hurt myself. I was just upset. I was like, Sard. I tried to flip my phone upside down quickly, but I couldn't effectively. Because I don't. I am almost out of water. What old English curses can I start to inject into my vernacular? Describe having sex. That's what Sard is. Oh. I guess it's close enough. Bed swerver? That's an alternative. Cheater. Bloody. Yeah, that's not not censored. Sorry, so lazy. It's like, yeah, look, this is something very simple for someone who has achieved a higher form of thinking compared to the average person. I really tried to not toot my own horn and lose where I came from, because so many rich people do, and even well-off people do. And it's like, really try to remember all the struggles I've been through, have them truly influence my experiences and how I carry myself. But it's like, you know, I am very, very smart compared to the average person. So much more capable. But it's like, even accounting for that, it's like not hard to tweak your vocabulary, inject new words into it, so that you can Biscumber. That's to spray feces on. I will biscumber on you. Or biscumber you? Either one. Not too sure. Look. It's like, I'm doing the basic thing of just Google searching and actually making a genuine effort to do it. That's the difference there. Or being lazy and even thinking to do this at the first place. Where it's like, yeah, you just dig into like a metaphorical library. And it's like, oh, look for new ways to insult people. And that's gonna file just fine under the, YouTube guidelines because, it took them so long to implement the fact that basic curse words are a big no-no to advertisers or whatever. But now it's like, oh, well, I'll just use the ones that were used in Old English, so, And it's like, the law and updating policies for companies just takes so long to begin with. It's like, that beeping is already pissing me off. And I'm a bit more accepting of annoyances right now that I'm inebriated. Alright, we're going in deep. I'm gonna chug the rest. Bit jabbers? By Jesus. Irish import, I'm using that one. Jelly Belly. No, someone fat, makes sense. Numpty. Don't do this, you numpty. No, wait, I'm drunk enough. But then again, if I drink this next time, then I'm not going to get properly drunk because my body's resetting its alcohol tolerance. No, it has got on alcohol recently, so it's not really reset anymore. Sard it. I will sard you. That's appropriate. I will commit coitus with you, and you will not consent to it. Alright, no, I've had enough. My poverty origin keeps me from drinking that right now. I'll use that as a starter next time. Yeah, you look good, Pikmin 2. Okay, I am actually drunk now. Part of my body covered in booze. Let me rank about. No, I'm gonna make a video about that someday, and I need to look into the legality first of the greater ramifications of doing such a task. There's nothing there, but I saw this hilarious 4chan post of people have tried it. It's racist on 4chan, obviously. That place is full of conservative people. It's like, wow, this Indian restaurant, I really don't like. They gave me subpar food. I'm gonna nuke them off the map on Google Maps. And it's like, people have apparently tried this, and I need to try this for myself and see if it'll work. But I would need my community's help to do it. And I think most people would be willing to empathize in my community because they'd be in my community because they like me, they like my content. And most of these people that would be in my community in the first place would have dealt with similar jobs and similar experiences. Here's the thing. I was thinking of getting all of my fellow community members to join me in the act of going to Google Maps, going to the Chick-fil-A I worked at for 3 weeks, and then going to the Google Maps review page, and then repeatedly reporting the place as either this place does not exist, or this place is permanently closed now. And apparently, I need to look into it. If not, at the very least, we could tank its 4 to 5 star rating that it somehow has. Potentially, according to this one 4chan post I saw, and of course, again, I would have to look into the legal ramifications of this. But if I would do this first in the first place when I was well off. I could afford genuinely going to court over this. But I digress. I don't think they would chase me that far because they're lazy. And secondly, what was it? Yeah. So if you spam "this place does not exist" and "this place is permanently closed" by enough people, and Google, if there's enough reports, Google will catch wind of it, and they'll delete its page. and that will get rid of all of the reviews. So I was thinking of doing that to the Google Maps page of the Chick-fil-A I worked at, because it is a modern day sweatshop. That is a modern day sweatshop. Oh my god. I was thinking of genuinely doing this. Let's see. Yeah, just try and gather a bunch of my fellow followers and do that. That'd be pretty funny. You know, I would be like, I don't know, at least 100,000 strong at that point. And let's say like even 1% wants to do it. So what? That's 1,000 followers willing to leave a shitty review. Even 500, I think that would be enough. Even 0.5%, you know? So it's like, nuke their ass off the map. I was thinking of making an entire video venting about my, work experiences there. And it's like, man, good lord, that is the worst job I will ever have. It's very likely it is the worst job I will ever have. I will there's like, unfortunately I didn't take nearly enough pictures, but it's like, that place has, quote, elite, unquote, food and safety standard, status, and I couldn't really find any information on that, surprisingly, but it's like, oh, basically what elite means is that, we are top of the line, we are unmatched. I didn't multiply the sprays, but that's out of habit of wanting to cheese a game. That I learned from a YouTube video, haha. No, my troops are dying. But yeah, that was a funny thought I had. I don't think there's any general legal ramifications of that, because that doesn't really follow under any laws, I don't think. No, they still die. So it's like, oh, I could get back at these guys, these fat cat, these fat cats that just stand around and do nothing. And just waddle about, going, woo, Dallas Cowboys, woo! And it's like talking about the lottery and treat you like absolute ass. And it's like, okay, here's the situation. Currently, at the moment, I moved back from Maryland after teetering on the line of homelessness for about a month and a half. And after doing so much DoorDash off of my piece of crap car that my best friend drove 900 miles from Georgia. It's going to be part of a comic book, so I'm trying to give away the least information needed so I could save it all for that and tell the story synopsis in a podcast. Hopefully PKA takes me in. I don't know. I'll pay for the Patreon and I'll be on a hangout and I'll give them a little taste of it and they'll be like, oh, I want to hear more. I digress. After being momentarily homeless and then living off of some old geezer's subsidized housing and parking my car in a side street so I wouldn't be towed in that apartment complex, made it back to Texas, and it's like, oh, doing so much DoorDash, just trying to get situated here and trying so hard to find a job. I really should just gone to HEB at first. I landed myself a job at Chick-fil-A. So many other fast food places I applied to because I was like, I'm familiar with it and I have 5 years of experience. I thought that would matter. It did not. 5 years of experience into an entry-level position did not matter in the current job market. But is what it is. So I went to Chick-fil-A and then they straight up told me during orientation, well, you're available. You 4 got picked due to your availability. And it's like, oh, good lord. Okay. The interview didn't even matter because the way the other 3 people that carried themselves there at orientation was so much worse than mine. I was like, consistently asking questions, paying attention, being like, yeah. Everyone else was just a bit of an NPC, suffice to say. And it's like, after 3 weeks and 1 day, I was like, okay, I've had enough. I'm not showing up to work anymore. It's like a lot of management just really stands around and they micromanage you. There's so many things wrong with that place. They micromanage you. They are so particular about your vernacular, and I'm going to reuse it from earlier. You're having an higher echelon of articulation. You gotta say my pleasure. It's the reason that thing is a meme. As they say it all the time, and the aura is so different in the restaurant. As I just butchered that. I barely caught that as drunk me. The aura is so different in the restaurant as a result. I guess I'll drink the rest of the booze to stay drunk. The aura in the restaurant as a customer is different, notably as a result. But it's like, what was it? Yeah, my second day there, roughly. I asked the cashier, I'm like, how do you enjoy being here? And he straight up tells me, oh, I don't mind it, but it's because I'm not back there. The Chick-fil-A I worked at, they make you pay full SARD price for a uniform. I had to pay $85 to start working there. And my first check was $500, which isn't bad for 2 weeks. But you know, it's like, damn, good lord. You know, just treated like a sop doodle, like the entire time, because it's like, oh, they drag you around, and it's like, oh, you know, do these salads you haven't made before. Quickly, it's peak hours, and it's like, I haven't made this before, how do I make it? And it's like, I remember straight up one of the burnt out Hispanic ladies that works there, you know, this is South Texas and all. And it's like, oh, what was it? I remember at one point, it's like, I keep asking her questions and, you know, instructions, and she's like, straight up goes, I don't know, ask someone else. And it's like, you know, during the first day, she was like, when you move to, you know, the other location that we're currently remodeling, you know, tell them I taught you. But it's like, man, she quickly lost interest in teaching me properly. Good lord. What was it? I left a text message to one of the guys. Yeah, I got texted by one of my fellow coworkers at the time if I could cover for them for a shift before I had even started training. That's how little people want to work there. I was already being asked to cover for someone, and I saw it as a good sign. You know, once I came back from Maryland, I still have such good work ethic. I'm like, yeah, I could do an oil rig. I don't mind. But you know, I got denied 4 times because they're not looking for greenhorns due to Trump, and is that even a good word to say at this point? And in regards to, like, you know, being shut off in the algorithm, I digress. Like, due to tariffs and whatnot. That's why they didn't accept me. I was like, damn, I could be making $5,000 a month, and I could do the work. I really could. I was working 72 hours in Maryland in 1 week at one point, and I was handling that. So, you know, tacking like 18 more hours on top of that, I was like, you know, it would be hard on my body, but it's a lot of money, and I'm already doing so much. I'm already transferring full-time jobs because at the time I was giving such a pleasant, let's see, I was being such a considerate employee to Food Line I was working at. Of like, oh, this is my 2 weeks notice. But you know, most jobs here are at will employment. That's why I just didn't say anything about to my bosses here at Chick-fil-A, because I've quit already. But you know, they don't truly know that. What was it? I rambled too much incoherently. Need to focus. Sober me. Take the wheel. Okay. Focus. Whew. Okay. What was it? Yeah, the place is so bad. I type up a lot of stuff. So I need to look at a Chick-fil-A review. Give you guys a little taste for the video I want to put up on the second channel. The thumbnail is gonna be a Fallout. Let's see, desktop audio. Okay, I shouldn't have put it down that low. Well, whatever. I'm changing it again. I'm sorry. I don't know what setting it was at. Forgive me. My incompetence. I don't do this nearly enough. Yeah, Chick-fil-A, my Indeed review. I want to put that up on Indeed down the line. But I've always seen as one of the more revered fast food restaurants. Was just on one in a sea of unsympathetic, equally inept establishments. The place is run by management that will laugh, smile, crack jokes, talk about football. Woo, Dallas Cowboys! And simply stand around, watching the people below them work and work and work. While the back of house is chronically stretched thin, told to stop holding, we can't be holding. The source profits for peak hours demand you work at your physical and mental limit. I remember the very last shift I had. I just got a buzz. That's my Gmail. Account linked. Excuse me? How did you now only... No, it's just Cash App. Whatever. Ignoring that. There is so much micromanaging there that is hypocritical. Because it's like, oh, you have a higher up. You have someone above you that's been rotting away there longer than you have. So you have less human rights. Because during orientation, it seemed nice. You know, it's Chick-fil-A. You know, their food usually tastes notably better compared to pretty much everyone else. Doesn't make you feel icky. You know, you don't have a weird feeling in your stomach. That's how I felt every single time of eating a McDonald's burger. And I've only had 3 since I was like, 15. And it's been consistent every time though. So I'm like, eh. And with Chick-fil-A though, it has the motto of the world's most caring company. But at the same time, it's like, they only really care about the customer. And the food. And the employees in the back of house. I don't know the experience for front of house employees, but the experience for back of house for that location specifically. Again, I need to stress that the experience for employees that are back of house is what I experience. I don't know about every other position, because maybe if you're a porter, it's okay? Question mark. Maybe not being basically a cleaner. It's such a weird term. When you apply to jobs nowadays, they use such a higher echelon. They actually use a higher form of thinking for their, job descriptions. I digress. Back of house, I went for that position because it was the highest paying position for that store. That's reasonable to go for. If you're someone who's ambitious as me, it's like, oh, well, I'll make $1 more per hour, and that'll help me inch forward closer to my goals and ambitions even faster. But it's like, man, I should have just been a delivery driver. Really should have. The back of house in this particular location is treated like such hot ass, because you have so many different people that, if you're a red shirt, you're a slave. That is your title. Slave. No holds barred, no apprehension from me. You are a slave there. But it's like, everyone that has been... There's a surprising amount of promoted people there. And they're, potentially... compared to a lot of other fast food places, it seems like, they promote people more often. But in this location, it's just run so ineptly that everyone who is above you just cracks a whip, essentially. Because, it's a bad sign of an employer when they say, oh, the vice president of operations. That really just being the guy second in place to the store manager. The guy that looks way too much like Hungry Box. He looks so much like Hungry Box. He has the exact same hair, so just tweak a few features and it's Hungry Box. Hungry Box still owes me a meal from orientation. So it's like, during orientation, he straight up says that, oh, well, thanks to the beloved state of Texas, I don't have to give you guys a break, but I will sometimes. And it's like, that does not bode well. If the law doesn't dictate that you need to give your employees any sort of reprieve, and you won't, and you're being nice because it's not mandatory, then it's like, you have never worked like we have in your entire life, clearly. Either that, or you've certainly forgotten what it's like. And you should eat my hairy, unwashed, rancid behind. A lot of micromanaging. What was it? This guy, Xavion. Of course, not being prejudicial, but a lot of darker skinned folks have much more out there names from my experience of living in Baltimore. And here again, where there's someone as dark as he is, here in South Texas. Because here in South Texas, if you're a white person, you stand out. If you're a black person, you stand out. If you're Asian, you stand out. If you're Middle Eastern, you stand out. It's understandably and obviously like a majority are Mexican people, obviously. Where I live right now, it's a 20-minute drive from the Mexican border. And it's like, if you look, if you have the characteristics of someone European, of Irish, or black, it's like that's just not common around here. So this fellow named Xavion, I still remember him because it's like I'll remember him a long while because he was so particular about the uniform for no reason. Like, you're gonna have both buttons buttoned up. You gotta have both buttons. And it's like, mate, I also almost got sent home another time because I didn't have a belt. And they could also potentially send you home for not having black socks, even though your pants are completely covering them. Stuff like that, where it's like, why are you being so particular about this? This is still ultimately a fast food restaurant. Why does it matter if I don't have a belt, if I don't really need it for my pants? Make you pay, what was it, full price for the uniform, and then it's like, oh, breaks are not assured. They tell you to go on a break when they don't want to pay you for the next half hour, basically. I think I've given too much away for the video, but at the same time, I want to go back into traditional drawing instead of just sprite art, so my video will still have worth as a work of art if I, draw these different people. What was it? Yeah, something that scared me this week was that, no, I think a couple of days ago, hard to place where it is, inebriated, fuck, while ranting about having a damn awful entry-level position that I thought was going to be okay just because they were paying $3 more in the minimum wage. It's like, what was it? Yeah, initially they only gave me 1 hour for the next week, last week. And it was like, I was like, what? I know my performance have been tanking because I've been so demotivated by this job. It's affected my overall mental well-being, but I didn't think it dropped this bad. I don't think my performance suffered this bad. And it's like, oh, they had only given me 1 hour. A single hour. But thanks to management incompetence, let's see, that was intended for the meeting that was going to take place at the new location. And then later updated my schedule to have 33 hours instead. So for a few hours, oh wow, okay, I guess that can happen in this game. For the next few hours, I was like, why do I only have 1 hour? And there's really no way to contact management because it takes so long to respond. And then they later updated to have it 33. And it's like, oh, it's not a bad amount of hours for a part-time job, But it's like, the fact that you didn't, update the schedule seamlessly for the the first time speaks volumes to how you run your management, making employees think, no, damn it, wrong. How do I get you guys off me? This fast forward button. How do I dismiss my army? Alright, what was it? Yeah, just how you run this restaurant. And give someone's schedule on the app you tell them to download to keep up with their schedule. Yeah, you only have 1 hour and you have that on your mind for like the next. How does that happen? It just does. Let's see. What was it? Yeah, so I didn't come in this Monday. And I just didn't come in Tuesday. I would have come in late ideally, but I'm like, nope, it's not mandatory. Even for someone like me, finally going back to what I meant to say like 10 minutes ago. Came back from Maryland, and I currently have, in this moment of time, $700 to my name. With a check coming in the way, but I have to pay car insurance and gym membership, so that's about $210. And I still owe my best friend about $800, and I'm still paying off my car. So you see the dire financial straits I'm in. Where it's like, oh, just money to exist. And thankfully, my mom is being so benevolent that once I came back from Maryland, patch things up, rebuild that bridge. She hasn't had me pay rent. Thank goodness, because I haven't had enough money because I've been paying off my car. and car repairs do DoorDash. That's why I don't do any more DoorDashes. Else, I would like be okay on money by this point. My car has My car only has 250,000 miles on it at this point, just about. So even me being in such dire financial straits, I still thought, I'm gonna quietly quit. I'm not gonna tell them anything. They can figure it out. They can find another slave. That's how bad it is. Even though I'm in dire financial straits and I'm nearly $1,000 in debt. Thankfully, it's to a person where it's like it's not a necessity. I currently owe him for the hotel room at a convention I'm gonna meet him at, and I currently still owe him $100 for my car, and I currently still owe him money for the plane ticket he helped me buy as well to go to the convention. Well, thankfully, I should be fine from now on financially. It's like I wasted the other one. Just rambling. There we go. How do I get blues? I went to the wrong area. Good lord, I'm an idiot. I didn't remember, so whatever. Whatever. Yeah, this job is that bad. Someone this much into financial straits as I am, deciding to just quit. Because it's like, that's how badly you're treated there. I'd rather till the field somewhere. Because I wouldn't have someone micromanaging me all the time, telling me how to do my job, while at the same time demanding I do different tasks, while not giving me proper instructions and not having a designated break. I would rather get sunburned and get blisters and just be on my own, because at least that way I wouldn't be micromanaged. I wouldn't be expected to do tasks that I haven't been informed properly on. And, there's no designated break, so, you're told to go on break when they don't want to pay you for the next half hour. That's just how it works there. And it's like during orientation, my second interview, it looked nice. At the orientation, it was like, oh, those were the first red flags. And I was like, that doesn't sound nice, but I need a job at a designated place because DoorDash is messing up my car too much. And Plasma only pays up to $500 a month currently. So it's like, oh. Well, even though I'd be paying insurance and I could be really stringent on my budget, I still want to try and pay off my car, Still want to repay my best friend who saved me so much trouble while I was basically stranded 1,800 miles from home. Let's see. That's about it. I think that paints the picture decently of how bad it is to work at that specific Chick-fil-A. It's run by John Hancock. What was it? Yeah. After the day, in the same day I came in, Xavion. Gotta have both buttons burned up. You gotta have both buttons. Well, he just stands around and monosyllabically takes a picture of how badly we're doing in the store, even though the reason we're doing so bad is because we're down a fryer and the burger bun, a drawer, doesn't work. And hasn't worked for a while, and a salad drawer, no, salad bar is also broken additionally, so that doesn't help with keeping prep stocked, and yet they have lead status. Let me see. It's like, oh, Xavion was the one who nuked my schedule off of hot schedules. He just completely took all my hours. And then Michael Hancock, Hungry Box, today earlier, he reestablished him. So I'm like, oh, maybe they're not so gung-ho about firing you. So I thought initially when Xavion nuked my hours off the map, I thought they were just really expecting that. They weren't surprised about me quitting quietly because maybe it just happened that much. Because besides me, there was 3 other people at orientation, and I never saw those 3 other people again, even though I was there for 3 weeks. It's wild. I know they were all front of house, but still, I never saw them once. It's like, oh, maybe they just quit before I did. But that's life. You stand your ground after being given so much crap, and you decide to not deal with it anymore. A second, let me check my text messages. Currently, I'm still inebriated. How's that for a little, nice little side tangent? Give me a strawberry. What was it? Basketball cutscene, whatever. Dun, 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 dun. I guess at this point I'm not too bothered by playing Pikmin 2 as I thought I would be. I guess the boost really helped. Thankfully I don't have to give this much of a pass compared to the Mega Man X D-Make live dissection. I took that term from Matthew Matos's vivisection. That's because I saw his Crash Bandicoot vivisection video on his second channel. And that was so disappointing. Matthew Matosis, he is never gonna respond, and I don't expect him to. Not that, you know, he really has a reason to. This video isn't going to reach his ears. He stopped caring about YouTube. You know, he's well off, I'm assuming. Not only doing his job, but also YouTube and having tens of thousands of subscribers. But Matthew Matosis is a shit streamer. He is so bad at streaming. The reason I took the term vivisection for the X8 D-Make video I made is because, oh, it stands for live dissection. You know, I like to expand my vocabulary constantly. Not as constantly as I wish I did, but, you know, I still like to work on it. And it's like, I saw his video on the Crash Bandicoot 1 vivisection, and it was like 3 worthwhile minutes of anything remotely interesting. The rest was shit. He is a horrible streamer. Credit to Joseph Anderson. He doesn't analyze games nearly as well as how did I dismiss you guys? There we go. Joseph Anderson doesn't analyze games as well as Matosis does, but at the same time, he became a good streamer personality. I think Matosis was always horrible, and will always remain ass, even though his main video content is good. And that's what the opposite of what I want to do for my streams. Because when I stream, I wanted to, you know, this is just me rambling for the second channel, but when I get to streaming, I want it to be an occasion people actively look forward to engaging with me. I don't want it to just be, ask me questions. That is only a supplement to me existing there. That's the thing with streaming. You want streamers to be someone you enjoy the personality of. You're there for the person, not for the gameplay. If you're there for the gameplay, then they're easily not the best choice, because you have tons of Let's Play channels that are uncommented already on YouTube, putting up Let's Plays on the first day of the week. It's like, oh, you're not there for them. Where am I even going? I am too drunk to think. You're there for the streamer, not for really the gameplay. Generally, I'm sure if you subscribe on Twitch to Justin Wong or Baffel, like, their gameplay is worth it, Dan. Their gameplay is worthwhile because they're such good Street Fighter players. But besides them, okay, I need whites. It took me too long to figure out. I'm drunk. You don't have an excuse. Yeah. Okay. You're there for generally for the person who's streaming and what they do, how they act. Let's see. So that's what I want to cater to in regards to me possibly streaming. I want to make it a good streaming presentation with a lot of viewer interactivity. I want to add a lot of funny sound effects. I want to, I want to add that feature where you get points from just watching the stream, and have viewers contribute that way. Where it's like, oh, they want me to do something. It's like, oh, I'm gonna have a joke thing. No, screw it. I'm just rambling, so I can waste time doing this. I want to have a thing where if someone has watched streams for long enough and pressed the button occasionally enough, that you will be able to ask, if you're there for long enough, I'll have to gauge how long this takes, but if you're there for long enough, you'll be able to request a specific video from me within a reasonable time frame that I will make. And, you would hit me up on Twitter. That'd be pretty funny. I'm a big jokester myself. I like thinking of ways of making people laugh. More often than not, it's for my own amusement, but that is still pretty amusing to think about. Where it's like, oh, you know, if I watch this guy's streams for like the next 8 months straight, and I get enough stream points, then I could request a video that he will make, that he has a very good promise that he'll uphold to, because he has for the Chicken Invaders 2 video that I made within a week, you know, and I'll be well off. So it's like, you know, I find it hard to imagine that in that case, if I'm already well off, I won't be, you know, making the effort to make it. Of course, it'd be like a time length, and have to be reasonable, but I would do it. If you watch me stream for long enough and get enough points, you can request a video from me. I want to do that someday. Of course, I can't make the promise now. Playing the YouTube metagame, it's pretty hard, but at the same time, it's funny how discouraged I haven't been. How being discouraged hasn't really affected me. Because, yeah, shit definitely has affected me around the Penny video, because my videos didn't really go anywhere around that point, but at the same time, I was chronically depressed, literally rotting away in my room. So it was like, that's why I didn't, make much videos around that point. That's why I stopped. So I was like, you know, whatever about it. But, you know, at this point, I'm back on the saddle. The Wild Guns video came out, and then Contra came out within like what 2 weeks of each other. And I was like, oh, me that was like still living in my mom's house before I moved to Maryland. What a thing that's unimaginable. But you know, it's what it is. Time to leave a voice message for someone. Give me a second while I wait for this thing. Alright. These, Pog Doodles? How is it said? Numpty. Fop Doodles ought to be done by the time, the sun sets. Meaning fool, saddle goose. Insignificant or foolish man. Fasock, lazy fat woman. Yeah, the ratings for Chick-fil-A are pretty good, but it's like, you know, that's the thing why Chick-fil-A food is good. I've been in the front lines. I'm willing to, I think I take a bit of pride in that, almost, with how treacherous it was for me, personally. Just like, at Chick-fil-A, front lines, they batter their chicken daily. They batter their chicken within the past few hours. They don't let it sit there. Meanwhile, so much other fast food it has their chicken sourced that's frozen. And that's the main difference there. Make a lot of their food fresh. But fried foods like fries, those are frozen. Those are straight up frozen. You're dead. A lot of other stuff is frozen too, like the pastries. Which, ideally, if anyone knew anything, if the world wasn't as lazy as it is, you would maybe try and possibly find, I don't know if there's a way, but you know, that's my thought. If I did desperately want more Chick-fil-A cookies or brownies, that I would personally go out of my way to, their supplier is called Dave's Cookies, even though they, you know, it should have just been Dave's Pastries. Supplier is Dave's Cookies, and it's like, oh, you would just try and contact the supplier directly and, you know, bulk have that stuff so you won't be charged like triple price or whatever by Chick-fil-A. Just have that in your freezer and then bake the cookies at home. I have finally slowly run out of rambly topics. About time. I was supposed to be analyzing Pikmin 2, but stuff happens. Another message I will reply to while I mute myself. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Another reply, give me a second. You see that? So much mindless playing that I really haven't had to try so hard. There's no incentive to try hard. What did I unlock? Right. Go here. And go somewhere else. That's interesting. You can cancel it. Did Pikmin 1 let you cancel it? I am not sure. Faster. Or... Alright. I need some purples. I wonder how much purples you realistically need to do most things. You know, if you can really just carry around 5 of them and then you'll be fine for the entire game. Besides the Doomsday apparatus, which even the most avid of Pikmin connoisseurs and, you know, apologetics, however you would say that word, defend Pikmin 2, they're all still like, oh, yeah, the Doomsday apparatus is dumb. If you want 100% completion, then you have to grind purples. Yeah, Lance, you brought up a good point about people that get on drugs and are drug addicts, is that they seem to be people that don't get pleasure from, or desperately lack something, some intrinsic satisfaction or chemical release in their brains that they just don't get somewhere else, and that's why they turn to drugs or alcohol. But with me, drinking alcohol is really just helping prop up other situations, like I've said. And it's like, that's why I don't see myself really addicted to anything. It's like, oh, besides food, which is, you know, delicious and necessary to survive, you know, drinking alcohol, I see its benefits, but its downsides are still kind of, they're still pretty notable. I forget what area we can go to next. I don't need to mute. I didn't mute myself earlier. I'm not saying anything crucial to mute. Oh, let's go. And that also gives you money, so you know. Freedom. You can collect stuff that aids to your location progression. You can get out of here. Shoutouts to that one guy who made those Pikmin animations to help add story context to, you know, Pikmin 2's story and other Pikmin stuff we didn't see. It was like what was it? The president in Pikmin 2. He's just sat on a chair, but it's like he's not really suffering. The loan sharks are just making up the messages for him. Perennial manager. That's the higher echelon of articulation that so many job applications, no, so many job postings have. It's like, oh my god, a restaurant porter, back of house team member, you work in the kitchen, you know, like supervisor, vice president of operations, you're a manager, supervisor, you get to stand around like a dumbass, just like the vice president of operations. They'd probably try and get away with whipping you if it wasn't shunned by society and if it wasn't illegal. That's how it felt like in there. Good lord. Fop doodle? Sop doodle. Fop doodle. Okay. What was the other word? Let me check my phone. Sard. That's right. Alright, just me and a squad of reds. Yeah, get yellows and then use the yellows to get blues. I remember now. And these guys were so threatening in Pikmin 1. Though if you do not tackle them correctly, they will mess up a squad. Their squash radius is unrelenting. I remember that from when I was little. I'm like, oh my god. You do not have to play this every single time. But I'm glad the cutscene is skippable. I wonder how much of the text is actually worth it in Pikmin 1. You really have to wonder, you know, how much of it is just dribble for. Because it's like, I remember, from what I remember, a dialogue in Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2, generally by the ship, is well written, I must say. I liked a lot of it. And when I played Pikmin 4 for the first time, I was like, oh damn, why is it so bad in Pikmin 4 by comparison? Where did all the writing go? The writer for the Piclopedia in Pikmin 4 didn't apply. Well, most likely writers, because I believe for Pikmin 1 it was generally just one writer for the journal entries, if I'm not mistaken. But the writer or writers for Pikmin 4's Piclopedia didn't really stretch themselves out to work on the rest of the game nearly as much. But it's like, what you do see isn't really anything too special. That's probably Pikmin 4's Achilles heel, I would say, besides it being too easy, is that it's and besides the fact that it's too unfinished. And that's a bit of a weird, contentious term to use. Because, you know, when you hear the term unfinished, you think Sonic 06. You think Bethesda games. You think Bubsy 3D. You think of licensed games that are made in like a few $1,000 budget for each developer. That they only took the job because they were probably starving. That's why they took the job. When you hear the term unfinished. But how I intend to use the term, because language is hard. Language chronically involves through our society and societies. And there's already so many different things to consider when you translate something from another language. Because the Japanese don't have a word for depth, I believe, or have a different interpretation, for sure, compared to us. You know, they have a lot of kanji for different words, but, you know, they don't. That's a funny thing about Japanese. Here's a good example. Like, Japanese does not have a word for bisexual. They don't have a word for hermaphrodite. You know, someone who is born with all the parts. They just have the word okama, which is used for queer person / gay, and that's what Eiichiro Oda, you know, the creator of one of the most beloved anime ever, One Piece, that's what he relies on for this one. Very, very avidly queer character that can change their gender and sex on a whim, because that's what the devil fruit lets them do. It's like, oh, they're just labeled as an okama, because that's the single word the Japanese have, surprisingly. You know, the Japanese have some really weird stuff in general, when you look at their anime and manga and how they conduct themselves compared to the rest of the world. But in some areas, here in America, we are so much better than them in terms of like being weird and experimental and trying new things. It's a whole can of worms. I digress. Right, I don't need purples. But, you know, it's Pikmin 2. You think, oh lol, I don't need purples. Let's see. Yeah, like, for example, America is extremely furry. You look at the amount of furries in America, and it's like, wow, compared to literally every other single country, we are an outlier. All the fur cons are in America. All the furry artists live in America or are from America. You know, stuff like that. You think something like being a furry would be more common in Japanese, but it just doesn't. And Japan is fairly average when it comes to how much of the population is truly furry. For example, I digress. I'm getting a bit incoherent here, but it's like, you know, it's different things. Well, I'll try to bring it back here. these different things between cultures that are just different. You gotta consider language and such. Right, what I was originally talking about. The use of language. And it's like, oh, using the word unfinished to someone who's Japanese or, Chinese, whatever portion of the viewer base on average viewer based on YouTube even is that, but I digress. Or Portuguese mainly, they're from Brazil, or they have another language they mostly speak, Spanish. That's a important one there. Their interpretation of the word unfinished. That's also besides their own life experiences to also consider. So when I use the term unfinished for Pikmin 4, it's gonna mean something a lot different between someone who's here American and someone who's Japanese watching my video with English captions. And when I mean unfinished, I mean it in a both positive and negative connotation at the same time. It's weird because Pikmin 4 definitely has some, like I've said before, some ways that it was compromised. And yet it's still a great game. It's still the best one. I wonder, I was thinking of making an April Fool's video of, oh, why Pikmin 2 is the best one and even better than 4 or something like that. But it's like, even avid Pikmin 2 defenders are like, yeah, 4 is the best one. Even though 2 is pretty good, I guess 4 is a bit better. It's probably better, or whatever. I just got a long-ass text message from a new guy just recently met, and he's cool. Okay. Alright, what else to talk about? Yammer on while I'm still decently drunk. It has worn away a little. And I want to go to Red Lobster so bad and get myself some lobster, but I am too used to being stingy. I'd make a great rich person, because the main reason rich people are rich is that they don't spend their money. Wow, they still have a ways to go before it's nighttime here. Not in the game, in real life. Heyo, but I'm gonna be working overnight, so there's that. Attack! Fop doodles, back to work. You can't be holding, we're holding. When they use that terminology at Chick-fil-A, I couldn't get it out of my mind. The whole, I don't know if y'all have heard this term before, but it's like, they were holding out on us. And that means when someone is not willing to give you what you're asking them, effectively. And it's like, oh, yeah. Playing that recently released, indie game that's surprisingly fun, well made. What was it, Mage Arena? I put in like 20 hours after launch. I was thinking of making a video about that as well. That's how much fun I had with it. But it's like, what was it? Yeah, one of the guys on my team. I was like, no, they're all dead. The gnomes you can trade with in that game. And he was like, they were holding out on us. And I just think to that whenever they used it at Chick-fil-A. I'm like, why are you telling me that I'm holding? It's like, you all are holding, or someone who's on my same station saying, oh, we're holding. I just means you're behind. But it's like, oh, you're holding out on us. You're not giving us the chicken you want. Which is accurate, but again, given my own personal experiences with language and how language evolves and is used. Like, what was it, is that what I'm trying to remember on the spot? I'm forgetting. Damn it. Sard. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. Come on. I can do this. No, I forgot the word. It's like, it was a video about it. I saw it as a YouTube short. It was like, oh, the original purpose of this word and how it's evolved over time. Right. That's another point, side tangent right there, of the recent avid use of AI for writing, and how that's also influencing our speech and language as as a society, because people relying on AI to write something are going to be influenced by how much that AI is using specific words, because how often they see that word, compared to before, because they're using AI to, influence their speech, because they're just simply interacting with it more. It's like, oh, I'm making these fantasy role plays. Let's put it that way, or having it help me with homework. And it's like, oh, AI having a expected bias towards specific words for one reason or another. Maybe it's coding. Maybe it's just well, I guess it mostly comes down to the information it has to go off of, because that's ultimately what it is. But it's like, where is a missing one? I guess it's the yellow over there. Like people just using AI for different projects, and it's like, oh, these words that are much more, that makes it easier to spot an AI written in a script. That's an interesting situation there, because it's like, well, also AI in general, I meant to say more so. It's like, oh, working using AI, it's like, you're asking someone to gather a bunch of information for you, and just, my brother, just didn't want to do a menial homework, and since his teachers were so lazy, he just relied on AI, and he was perfectly fine. It did not question his writing, apparently. It was a whole thing during a orientation that he had going into university, I believe. And it was, what was it, yeah, they were talking about, being punctual and, on time, and the teachers were behind schedule. It's that type of deal. And they just kept that trend. And it's like, oh, he ended up using AI for his, homework, and I don't think he ever had to deal with any ramifications as a result. What was I trying to get at? Right, the words AI will rely upon constantly. And it's like, oh, the bias towards it, given different way AI is built by different people and whatnot. God, these are so annoying. Not all of them are skippable. That is so bad. But you look at the jiggle physics, and it's like, wow, this game looks pretty good. Shut up. Blah, blah. I wonder if Pikmin 2's modding scene is really worth a damn. I'm sure that once this video gets big enough, someone's gonna comment on, oh, this mod is very good, and then I play it, and they don't know my tastes and preferences, and I'm gonna be like, no, this is hot ass. I remember seeing this one fan Pikmin project of, I forget specifically what it even was. It was introducing new Pikmin types, and it's like, these are so uncreative and underwhelming. I forgot what they were, but at the time I was like, that's it? You could probably have me on your brainstorming session and come up with something better. Of course, you have to consider that people aren't doing this because they're being paid. They're doing this out of passion. You also have to consider how hard it is to even work on this, because it's like, oh, it's commendable. It's even being made in the first place. Because while gaming production has significantly increased in terms of efficiency and accessibility in recent times, it's still pretty hard. It's still so much different things to try and even specialize in, plainly. I digress. This one Pikmin 2, I think it was what was it? Fan mod or whatever. You had another one. The pile. It's like, oh, Pikmin 9 just looks so uninteresting, and then the changes to level design were so whatever, and I was like, okay. Have someone recommend me that. It's kind of like was it that one Mega Man X1 fan edit where it's like, oh, what was it? Mega Man X hard mode? Something weirdly named by that. I don't. It makes me pretty confident just the way that that person decided to communicate that particular title, that they're not native English speaker whatsoever. But it's like, oh, how it plays. It's like, oh, the level design is hot ass. Because it looks so boring and it just relies on, you know, I think the term artificial difficulty is one that shouldn't be used. Just like, you know, artificial difficulty and, what was it? What's that other term? I forget. Damn it, I just had it top of my tongue. Whatever. I think that, yeah, games, this game aged badly. I don't think that's a term that should be used as well. Because, the way they denote things is, does not bring, like, the perception of language and expectations that come upon people when they hear those words, for a vast majority, are not going to be good. That's why I think you should avoid using that particular, form, this particular words. Anyways, who cares if a few die? I can just replace them. They're just fop doodles. And also, that thing is really weak. I don't expect any of them to die anyways. What was I gonna say? Damn it. The booze is wearing off, so it's just me being sloppy. Let me see. Yeah, the Mega Man X1 ROM hack I saw. It's like, oh, it's just a bunch of really hard, precise jumps that are close to frame perfect or close to even pixel perfect, and it's like, okay, that's what you came up with. It's like I suppose if I'm someone who thinks Mega Man X1 is way too hard, I'll enjoy it. But otherwise, it's like, oh, this isn't interesting. This is challenging, but it's like the thematic cohesion and implementation of these hazards and use of enemies isn't anything that's really too clever. God, these things are pathetic. That thing my Pikmin basically got already bored, and it's like, oh wow, okay, it's just alive. Who cares? It's no big deal. Yeah, so when someone suggests a Pikmin 2 ROM hack, it's like, I'm probably not gonna like it, because I've noticed in general, ROM hacks in fan games just kind of suck. Like, even compared to licensed games, from my experience, and I like to think I have a good basis for saying this statement, to being, generalized. Of course, ultimately opinion, but still, it's like, oh, I think most of these, even considering the situations that might have been made, just aren't very good. I wanted to make a video about this at one point, which I've lost complete interest in, but it still shocks me how bad it is. It was this one fan game for Earthbound, and it's like you play as Gigas, a bunch of other aliens, and it's like, one thing that I found exceedingly frustrating at the time. Granted, I don't know how I'd feel about it now, but I remember even back then I didn't like it, so I don't know. Hard to say for sure now, but it's like I still remember those feelings from then. It's like, oh wow, I play this and there's no diagonal movement for a fan game of Earthbound, even though the very first Earthbound on the NES had diagonal movement. And it's like, Christ, what's wrong with you? How could you not have diagonal movement? I'd have to revisit it someday to really see how I feel now, but it's like, at the time, it did not give me a good impression at all. And I didn't have nearly as much of a refined taste, so generally what offended me was either something I jumped on the bandwagon on, or something I really didn't like for reasons now I would find probably atrocious. So I don't know. It's like so many other fan games that play like that, like what was it? Street Fighter Cross Mega Man. That one sucks ass. Some other Mega Man fan games that are just, there's so many bad ones. I remember binging Nico's videos, and it's like just what they have you plainly do is so bad. What was it? Mega Man Zero, Mega Man Classic, but oh, you fight Zero, and it's like, oh, the boss rush does not reset your. Oh, the boss rush doesn't. Yeah, when you game over, it does not reset your weapon energy. And in theory, that could have been interesting, but it's like the way it's done and the way the boss rush is. I was like, oh, you have to do all of them, I think, without any energy pickups. And it's like, oh god, no, why? I don't care that it's a 13-year-old who made this, you know. this is a bad product. I felt that when someone I used to talk to had me play Cry of Fear, I think it's called, on Steam. And I'm like, immediately we're off to a bad start. Because this is already assuming that every single person that is going to play this already knows the controls to Half-Life. And that is a bad thing to assume. Because that is not going to be everyone. That might get a good general section of the population, but would it kill you to, like, have the character exposit and break the fourth wall? I guess it would. So now I have to fumble and press a bunch of different keys on my keyboard to figure out how to crouch, and figure out how to do this, Even when I play it, I'm like, it has high production value and ambition, but in terms of actually being satisfying to play, I don't like it at all. It has some interesting thematics and interesting level, interesting premise, and some apparently eventually good story, but it's like no thanks. It plays too sloppy. Stuff like that I feel is so much more commonplace compared to actual licensed games made by some people with actual qualifications that have either made games before, or the fact that they're being paid is a pretty good incentive for them to be trying, even though they do not have the timetable to work with. It's a case where, like, FIFA games, and so many other games in general have their developers sleeping straight up in their offices just so they don't have to spend time on commute to, keep working. Like, the developers for Metal Slug, even today, Akio, the main artist for Metal Slug, who's working on the, Indie Endeavor by Kohachi Studio. I think I said that right. Like, what was it, somehow forgetting the title. But it's like, yeah, they're still, like, talking about overworking themselves, and I'm having issues with that, and it's like, people in the comments, part of it's them being set in their ways. Akio is a fairly older gentleman, who was, in, like, his 60s or 70s at this point. So, hard to blame him when he's been doing this his entire life. But it's like, when he worked on Metal Slug 1 alongside the other crew who was responsible for those games that came from Nazca, what was it? Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, we slept at our offices, and it got to the point where they were so deadly ambitious about working on the game that, what was it, one of the test boards, the only test board they had, caught fire, because it was being tested too many times. That was a genuine concern. But, they just had to simply, that's just simply what happened. They were testing it. And even though the technology just wasn't there, it's not like right now I can boot up Godot and I could just, oh yeah, okay, whatever, just test this, it doesn't work. Well, I could ask someone on a forum to help me fix it. I could ask my best friend who lives in South America or Russia, who's like an amazing coder. I can't just do that back then. So the board caught fire. And the developer who was responsible for that, I don't know if he actually got burned, but everyone else was asking, "Are you okay?" in Japanese. And they were talking about the board. It's cases like that where developers really, truly stretch themselves thin to just work on a project. And it's like, oh, and these people, trying to bring it back, the booze is wearing off, but forgive me, I like to ramble. Let me think. Let me go there. Okay, yeah. So people working for licensed games might be like, burnt out and be paid pennies on the dollar, and but they have qualifications and they have a reason to be working on it full time because it's their job compared to a passion project. Like, you see this with it's just going off a simple Google search, sure, but it makes sense. I was talking earlier to my youngest brother about clinical trials being even a thing and possible financial reimbursement for partaking in them. And it's like, oh, was it like 80% of people who even partake in them see the financial reward being the main reason they actually do it? compared to just passion. So it's like, you play a crappy licensed game, and I feel so often the art is actually so much more notably cohesive, even for the worst of projects. The art has better direction, has more cohesion, and has more worthwhile things to see on it than your average fan game. Absolutely. In terms of playing quality as well, because it's like, you'll play this SpongeBob game on like Game Boy Advance, and it's like, oh, it's stable, and you can tell this is drawn by an actual artist that's like 37, and he's been drawing for a while. He's been drawing for several years compared to someone who's 16 helping make an indie project in their bedroom. Again, there's nothing wrong with it, but I think too often people they're like, oh my god, there's so many good fan games, and it's like, they are so often the exception to the rule. You fat bastards, why did you drink it all? Whatever. Go to sunset. I don't care. Can I go with right? Any more poison fellows? Right, I have blues. Yeah, man, I fucking love talking to people in general, so that helps a lot. And you love answering questions almost as much as I do, so that really helps. Da 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 da. The scariest voice I've ever heard. You gotta have Bo Buns button up. You gotta have Bo Buns. Let's see. I wonder how bad Hey Pikmin is. I don't think someone has given it a fair shake. That's the thing I hate with our culture and society. People that enjoy video games. Because people just look at the handheld games like, oh, nobody ever cares. You play Mega Man 5 World, and it's like, that's one of the best Mega Man games. Compared to Mega Man and Base being hot ass. That game, surprisingly showing, sometimes exceeding the malicious design. I stand firmly in the camp that game is bad. That game is badly designed. But, it's the exact opposite of that game. Mega Man 5B is, while at the same time being very ambitious, it's so well executed. And it's like, oh, so many people are like, well, so many people just forget. I don't know why. I partly blame companies for not nearly emphasizing, their handheld and side endeavors. But at the same time, it's like, why do we as a society fail to appreciate our, god damn it. Now, this is more annoying than any surprise stats, because it's like, can you stop squirming around? Okay, he's fine. It's like, oh, what was it? Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga? I think that's one top 3 Game Boy Advance game. And it only sold 1 million, I believe, at launch. Either 1 million or 2 million. Like, fine numbers, it was a success, I suppose. Nobody really cares that much. Compared to, like, Paper Mario 64, people talk about that game a ton, 1000 Year Door, that was on a console, ooh. Sure, they did sell more, but at the same time, it's like, damn, the game's on handhelds. Also, other side tangent I'm gonna abruptly go on. I wonder why some people universally refer to things as consoles, when there is a clear distinction between handheld and console. The Switch finally broke the mold. And before that, there was nothing else. The Switch is the avid exception. And, the sequel that took too long to make. Switch 2. Better version of the Switch, ooh. Or whatever. Like, there is a clear, notable distinction between handheld and console that I feel people just label everything as a console if it's not PC, and I'm like, you shouldn't be doing that. There's significant weight to this. A console is very simply something that needs to be plugged into an outlet to work at all. Does the GameCube need to be plugged into an outlet to work? Yes. Does the Switch need... No, the Switch is the one hybrid we have. You know, does the Dreamcast need that? Yes. Does the Game Boy need that? No. Does the Game Boy Advance need that? No. Does the Atari need that? Yes. That's a console. You see what I'm getting at? It's a very easy, quick distinction to make. It's like, oh, I hear my best friend say, oh, but, and like, he doesn't get it. Maybe he's changed his mind. I don't know. He changes his mind on things a fair bit. But it's like, I'm like, I'm like, that's a handheld. It's like, whatever. They're all consoles. And I'm here thinking, I should look into this more. But I'm like, after giving it some thinking, like months down the line, I'm like, wait, eureka moment. Does it need to be plugged into the outlet to work at all? You know, of course, you charge it with an outlet. Okay, let me specify. Does it need to be plugged into an outlet to actively run? There you go. You know, Nintendo Entertainment System, you know, console, Super Nintendo console, N64 console, Game Boy, not a console, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, not consoles, you know, 3DS, not a console. Let's see, the Sega Nomad, if any of you know about that thing, that's basically just a portable Genesis. You know, that's not a console, that's handheld. You hold it in your hands wherever you go. That's its purpose. You know, the Virtual Boy, well, it's not as big as a console, but that's still a console. It needs to be plugged into an outlet to actively work. I suppose by this definition, the Switch would be a handheld, since it does not need to be actively plugged into an outlet to work. But, you know, given its other factors, it's like the one that's a bit weird. That it's like, you know, we've had so many consoles and handhelds over the years, and it's like, it's pretty easy to, yeah, it's so often no-brainer. Do you need an outlet? Hello? Do you need one right now, actively? Is that your lifeline? Yes? No? That's it. No, besides the Switch is the only one I can really think of. I don't know of any other weird consoles from back in the day that went under the radar that have some weird semantics going on. Yeah, Sony's consoles, Xbox consoles, Atari consoles, Sega consoles, when they weren't such big failures. Let's see. What else do I gotta do? Alright, this should go by twice as fast. Because my fop doodles should be working harder. Because they're holding. They can't be holding. You guys shouldn't be holding. Why are you holding? They're holding out on us. I wonder if Louis' hitbox is much different than Olimar's. Is it ever a case where a high-level Pikmin player thinks, oh yeah, you know, these collisions or hurtbox for Louis are a great benefit or detriment to compared to playing to Olimar? That's Olimar. I wonder. Say for the president once you unlock him. Okay, I'm feeling kind of tired. The booze is worn off. I don't hate this game. I don't hate any game unless Superstar Saga remake, but I think Pikmin 2 is still bad. It is too boring. And I could be optimizing this, but you're optimizing boring tasks. And that's not really fulfilling, I don't think. I already, you know, rapid fire lit off my Google Word document points, okay? I think I've run out of things to say, and my mouth is tired. And I'm tired. I want to do something else. Okay, yeah. This did get boring. Not sleepy time in my house yet. But, you know, it's not fulfilling. But at the same time, it was good. It does make a very decent drunk game. Whenever I make drunk streams, I'm thinking of potentially doing that. Oh, donate $5 and I'll drink a shot. Donate $20 and I'll drink a mouthful. Donate $50 and I'll drink like 2 cans or something or whatever. However the hell. I kind of fear of getting to the point of being a well-off YouTuber because I'm gonna be such a pothead. I'm gonna get high as much as I want. You're gonna die. And they really nerfed you. Not a single death. Okay, we're done here, ladies and gentlemen. I wrapped up to the stream. Bye bye. Go watch my other videos or don't. I don't care. I'm done. Bye bye.